When did you stop beating your wife? This question is a metaphorical representation of a larger class of questions commonly referred to as gotcha questions. They are confrontational. They are not intended to elicit an answer from the person being asked the question. They are meant to completely destroy the person being asked the question. Now, why would somebody do this? Why would somebody want to destroy somebody with such an underhanded question? One is probably because they are too dumb to have a legitimate conversation. For example, imagine if they were actually pretty smart, and imagine they had an idea in their head that they disagreed with a political belief or ideology that you had. And imagine if they were confident enough to slowly ask questions and then get answers from you. And they keep asking questions and they keep getting answers. And then finally, once they made sure they understood all your answers completely, they could use your own answers to defeat your own ideology. This is essentially what Socrates did back in the day. He would patiently ask people questions and pay close attention to their answer. Then he would take those answers and use them as a basis to ask further questions. Then, using only the answers he got from the other person, he would show that they prove that their opinion is self-contradictory. This is what a typical TV interviewer would like to do, to interview somebody with whom they disagree, and then slowly disprove whatever their opinion is using only their answers. But like we said, most TV interviewers today are too dumb to do this. They are too impatient to do this. They know the attention span of their audience is too tiny to do this. So they use common gotcha questions. And the only purpose of a gotcha question is to knock the other guy off balance. And they do this because it works. The average TV viewer today doesn't pay much attention to the actual words being used or the ideas being discussed. They only have a vague idea of one guy, usually the interviewer, being on the offensive, and the other guy, the interviewee, being on the defensive. And they watch this, the offensive guy and the defensive guy, and they watch the defensive guy kind of flounder around, and then they say, oh, that guy got his ass kicked. The structure of the gotcha question is based on something called a linguistic presupposition, a smaller idea that is hidden inside of a much larger sentence. For example, consider the question, when did you stop beating your wife? The question seems like it's asking a when question. When did you wake up today? When did you get home last night? When did you decide to write your book? When did you stop beating your wife? Because the idea that there was an actual time where you did in fact beat your wife, because that idea is hidden inside of a larger sentence, it's much harder to flat out deny. For example, if I asked you directly, hey, did you ever beat your wife? You would immediately say, no, dude, what the F? But when I start the longer question with the word when, it kind of starts your mind off in the direction of answering the question. So when I drop the beat your wife part in the middle of that long question, it completely knocks you off balance. It's very hard not to react to. And that is all the interviewer wants, for you to react to the question, and for the short attention span having audience to watch you react to that question. And among the short attention span having audience, because you reacted to that question, a certain percentage of them will assume that you actually did in fact used to beat your wife. Now you've been tricked into the position of having to disprove something that's not true. You've been forced into the position to disprove something that's not true, but a certain percentage of the short attention span having audience now believes is true. So the purpose of these gotcha questions is to destroy the reputation of the person being asked the questions in front of an audience. And once you get offended, once you bite, once you get knocked off balance, once you look upset, the short attention span having people watching the conversation will judge this conversation just like judges judge cage fights. 1 point for this guy, no points for this guy. So how do you defend against these sucker punch type questions? One is to be very, very careful about letting your guard down when in a potentially heated conversation with a stranger, particularly in front of other people. Force yourself to remain as calm as possible. When you hear the beginning of a question, don't think about the answer until you've heard the entire question. While the other guy is speaking, while he's asking the entire question, remain as calm as possible. Keep as neutral a facial expression on your face as possible. Check to make sure there aren't any hidden linguistic presuppositions buried in the middle of the sentence. In this case, the hidden linguistic presupposition is that you did, in fact, one time in the past, beat your wife. After you examine the question, and if you do find a buried linguistic presupposition, simply ask the interviewer, ask the person asking the question, why they think this is true. When did you stop beating your wife? What do you mean? Why do you think I used to beat my wife? Remain as neutral as possible and wait for them to answer your legitimate question. The general pattern is like this. They asked, when did you stop X, where X is some kind of bad behavior? You remain calm, you remain neutral, and say, I don't understand. Why do you think I used to X? Remember, the only reason these people use those gotcha questions is they are too stupid and too impatient to ask a legitimate question. They are hoping for a quick and easy sucker punch knockdown. So when you remain calm, when you ask them calmly to explain why they think the hidden linguistic presupposition is true, they will be the one that looks like an idiot, and you will look like a hero. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like, and comment. For more information, please visit mindpersuasion.com.